What's up, guys? Artem MMA Analysis here. Going to be talking about a matchup that was announced a few days ago, and for some reason I completely forgot to make a video on it. I don't really know how I managed to do that, but I did. And now we've got Sean Strickland versus Alex Pereira. I feel like this matchup has kind of been gathering a little bit of steam over the next couple of days, when I think now that people are realizing how important this matchup is for the middleweight division. And as I said, when Alex Pereira was making his debut last year, which was only 4 months ago, he's making that debut and he was 34 years old. I was saying the UFC really needs to rush this guy to a title shot if they want to see Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira, and this is exactly what they're doing. They must have had a plan this whole time, and I'm very glad they did, because even when I said made my prediction on the Bruno Silva fight a couple of weeks ago, I was once again saying, like, this is Alex Pereira's ticket into the top 15. If he beats Bruno Silva, then they're going to put him up against a top 15 opponent. But little did I know that they were going to put him up against a top 5 opponent in Sean Strickland. They're really rushing Alex Pereira into this one here, and this is without a doubt in my mind a title eliminator. And I'll show you guys why. So this is the middleweight division here. Unfortunately, there is a little bit of a glitch with the number 4 rank here. But what I'm going to say is I do believe that Sean Strickland at the moment will be ranked number 5. I think that's what it's trying to say. But at the moment we've got Robert Whittaker, who just fought and lost to Israel Adesanya. He's also booked against Marvin Vettori. Jared Cannonier is already fighting Israel Adesanya. So if Izzy beats Jared Cannonier, then we can cancel him out too. Paulo Costa recently lost to Marvin Vettori and Izzy. Sean Strickland hasn't beaten Israel Adesanya yet, but you could make an argument that he hasn't earned a title shot yet. Derek Brunson already lost, just recently lost to. Jack Hermanson hasn't earned it. Darren Till losing streak. Uriah Hall just lost to Sean Strickland. Calvin Gastelum 2-fight losing streak. Nasruddin Imavov hasn't earned it. You know, like that sort of situation is what's in the middleweight division right now. And this fight makes the most sense for who's going to get the next title shot against Israel Adesanya. I think that the winner of this fight is no doubt fighting Israel Adesanya next, because who else is there to fight him? There really isn't anyone unless Colby Covington moves up to 185. But then again, I don't think they're going to give him a shot unless he beats someone at 185 anyway. Yeah, well, let's forget about that conversation. Let's look at Alex Pereira versus Sean Strickland. This is Alex Pereira's easiest matchup in the top 50, in the top 5. In my opinion. I think that he would have, if this fight wasn't made, I think they would have put him up against Brad Tavares. But I think Brad Tavares already has a fight booked, or even Uriah Hall as well. But I think Uriah Hall, even then, also has a fight booked. But yeah, so if he was to fight anyone in the top 5, Derek Brunson would use his wrestling to out-wrestle him. Paulo Costa would have been a pretty fun matchup too. He's got pretty good striking. He's got a lot of power. Marvin Vettori has good wrestling. Jared Cannonier could potentially give him some problems, and Robert Whittaker as well would out-wrestle Alex Pereira to a win there. So I think this is a great fight for Alex Pereira. I think this is a very winnable fight. A fight that I do think, and I will be picking Alex Pereira to win. And I do really want to see Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya 3 happen inside the UFC. I think that would be an awesome fight. It would be very interesting to see if Israel Adesanya chooses to stand and trade with Pereira on the feet. But yeah, let's have a look at the odds. I don't know if you guys can see it with my little overlay. I just opened OBS thinking I could see it too. But anyway, Strickland has opened as plus 150 and Alex Pereira has opened as minus 175. I think that is absolutely insane. I would have put Sean Strickland as the favourite, to be honest. It says this is what it is, but I think that might have been a mistake, because if you look at the movement, it's quickly flipped. But yeah, what I'm trying to say is I think it's a bit disrespectful. Sean Strickland does have a pretty good ground game, and he is pretty well-rounded, but his stand-up is good too, but his stand-up is not going to be good enough to beat a guy like Alex Pereira on the feet. Bruno Silva gave him a good fight on the feet, but Bruno Silva's a very good guy in stand-up with a lot of power. Sean Strickland also does have pretty decent power and does have good stand-up, but he's very susceptible to kicks, and that's what a lot of these people that are breaking down the fight are mentioning. Sean Strickland is very susceptible to kicks, and he's very, very susceptible to leg kicks. Also, Alex Pereira, 80-inch reach. He's also going to be 3 inches taller as well. And Alex Pereira is a guy that obviously has the striking credentials to be good enough to utilize that reach and height advantage when it's on the feet. I'm picking Pereira by KO. And I think as soon as he wins this fight with a good call-out over Israel Adesanya, we might have one of the most hyped-up middleweight matchups in UFC history, or at least recent history. I mean, Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira. In modern UFC history, that genuinely could be one of the biggest matchups that could ever happen in the middleweight division, especially for the belt as well. So if Israel Adesanya beats Jared Cannonier, Alex Pereira beats Sean Strickland, the press conference would be insane. Potentially we could see these guys, Sean Strickland, Alex Pereira, Israel Adesanya, Jared Cannonier in the same press conference, put them on the same card. Sean Strickland will be talking his trash to Izzy, talking his trash to Pereira. Pereira will be talking his trash to Izzy, and also Sean Strickland. Like, it'll be great. Great. Sorry, excuse me. Great press conference, and I think that Alex Pereira, man, he's got the tools. He's got the tools to beat Sean Strickland, and I'll be very, very interested to see what the odds between Pereira and Israel Adesanya would be in an MMA fight, because we do know that Israel Adesanya does possess like some sort of ground game. We don't know about Alex Pereira yet, but we do know he's training with he's training was the old man that's light heavyweight champion, Glover Teixeira. So I'm picking Alex Pereira by KO. This is an insane fight. This is a title eliminator without a doubt in my mind, and I think that I can't wait. Alex Pereira versus Israel Adesanya 3 happening in MMA. I want to see it. Let's make it happen.